agreed to join us, and so she will be over here next month and presenting cases, and so yes, it'll be a very family-oriented kind of event. So we're excited about that. I know we're going to miss her on the commission. She's been a really important voice on the cases we've had in her short time here. So we're very excited about that. So.
Oh, good.
And the next announcement I want to make is regarding your previous secretary prior to me, Mr. Josh Whitehead. When I took the reins about 2.5 years ago, I had a lot to learn, and Mr. Whitehead had been doing this for a few months. And I just want to announce this is really bitter for, I think, the division, maybe sweet for Josh, but we'll see. Josh will be taking a position with Birch Porter Johnson beginning January 1st, I believe, or around there. And so, yes, we're excited for him.
Boo!
The division will certainly miss Mr. Whitehead and his guidance and leadership over the last 11 years, really kind of honing in on the UDC and also supporting the Landmarks Commission in so many ways with legal guidance and procedural guidance that I will need again. So I may have him on speed dial whenever we're doing these and just make sure that I can get that guidance if I need it. I don't know if he'll answer my calls, but we'll see.
And just one correction, it's 11 years and 11 twelfths years, but who's counting?
12 years.
That sounds like a sentence, like a jail sentence almost, the way 1129? No. Okay. Well, we will definitely miss Josh's, and the way that he keeps us all going in the right direction, but also in a light-hearted and usually fun way. So we get to the end goal and we're not all just terribly upset at the end somehow. But yes, thank you. So with that, that's all I have for the Secretary's report, and I think we can move on to the procedures.
Okay, thank you.
And I will announce the procedures for the meeting. The procedure for this meeting will be as follows. I will introduce each case as listed on the agenda. Copies of the agenda are found on the right podium. For each case, staff with the Division of Planning and Development will give a presentation. At the conclusion of the staff presentation, the applicant will have 5 minutes to present his or her case. After the applicant's presentation, the commission will hear first from those speakers in support of the application, then from those speakers in opposition to the application, and the speakers will have 3 minutes each. And then finally, the applicant will have 3 minutes to provide rebuttal. These times do not include time for questions from and answers to the members of the commission. The chairwoman may provide additional time provided both sides are given an equal amount of additional time. All parties who wish to provide testimony to the commission will be sworn in by the chairwoman. If a member of the audience wishes to provide testimony in support of or in opposition to a particular case on today's agenda, he or she will need to fill out a speaker's card for the record. And the speaker's cards can be found on the front podium as well. Once filled out, speaker's cards can be submitted to any DBD planner at the left podium. We do not need speaker's cards from the applicants since their names are already part of the record. After all parties have been heard, the commission will close the public hearing, make a motion, and then deliberate on the case. All motions made by this commission will be made in the affirmative. The bylaws governing the commission require the affirmative vote of a majority of the attending members to approve an application. The commission may also vote to hold an application for a period of 1 month. Madam Chair, I submit that all cases have been filed in proper order, all applicants have been notified of this hearing, and all notice requirements have been fulfilled.
Thank you. At this point, the commission will establish a consent agenda. To establish the consent agenda, the secretary will call out each eligible case. If any member of the audience or the commission objects to a case being placed on the consent agenda, he or she should do so by a show of hands when the secretary reads the case. Once the consent agenda is established, the commission will vote on all cases placed on the consent agenda as a whole and will not hold individual public hearings on each. Mr. Secretary, which items are on our agenda are eligible?
Item number 1, COA 2021-157, 664 Maury Street in the Valentine Evergreen Historic District. Item number 4, COA 2021-165, 786 East Snowden Circle in the Ansdale-Snowden Historic District. Item number 5, COA 2021-166, 2052 Nelson Avenue in the Cooper Young Historic District. And item number 7, COA 2021-172. And Commissioner Strong, yes, you want to hear that one? Okay, so we will hear item number 7. So the items that will be on the consent agenda is item number 1, item number 4, and item number 5.
And we added 7 back. Is that
Correct, so we'll hear that. So items 1, 4, and 5 will be the consent agenda.
okay? Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as established by the secretary?
So moved.
May I have a second?
A second.
Okay, thank you. I would like to remind the commission that by voting on the consent agenda, he or she affirms that he or she has read the staff report and is in full agreement with the conditions. Mr. Secretary, may I have a roll call?
Yes. Mr. Warren?
Yes.
Ms. Strong?
Yes.
Ms. Payne?
Yes.
Ms. Love?
Yes.
Mr. Gill?
Yes.
Ms. Cox?
Yes.
Chair Tucker?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. At this point, if you are here for any of those cases just listed on the consent agenda, you have been approved. You do not need to remain at the meeting, but are welcome to stay for the reminder of the cases if you'd like. Okay, thank you, Mr. Secretary. At this point, I would like to state that the minor COA applications as listed on the agenda have been reviewed and approved by the Commission. The Commission will now continue with the regular hearing of the major COA applications as listed on the agenda. Mr. Secretary, please call the first case.
Item number 2, COA 2021-162, 994 Garland Street in the Valentine Evergreen Historic District.
Thank you. Is the applicant present? Did you want to ask again? Is there anybody here?
Let me ask our planners if we see the applicant or no. Do we? So we don't appear to have the applicant, so we will hold the case for 1 month.
And that's the number 2?
Yes.
Garland?
Yes.
Okay.
So it will be held for 1 month, and we will notify the applicant again and make sure that they know about the next meeting. And
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Secretary, if they are simply tardy, are we holding the case? Or are we going to hear it at the end of the session?
Let's hold it.
For that.
To the end of the agenda.
Yeah. I mean, typically, once we hold it, because of that's a held case, but we could hold it to the end of the meeting and just see if they do show up. So that's another option if we want to do that.
I have no preference either way. Just wanted to get everyone on the same page.
Yeah.
Why don't we roll it if they don't show up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can do that.
That's
Okay.
Okay. All right.
So the next
Go to the
case
next.
is item number 6, COA 2021-170, 719 North Auburndale Street in the Valentine Evergreen Historic District.
Okay. Is the applicant present?
I believe she just left. Lucas
We're good?
run out to fetch her back.
Is she gone?
I don't
Or
think
she
so.
Went to catch
I think she's in the lobby,
Okay.
hopefully.
Okay, here comes somebody.
Did she leave? Okay, she left.
Okay, well, let's roll that one
Okay.
and see if we can.
I like this one.
on this last case here.
Yeah, I think she.
It's because Josh is leaving.
I know. Well,
What'd you do, Josh?
the next case we will see, we do have some people here that I don't recognize, so hopefully they are here for this case. It's item number 7, COA 2021-172, 995 North Avalon Street in the Valentine Evergreen Historic District.
He's here.
Is that you? Is that him? Okay, is the applicant present? Come on to the podium. Come on down. Thank you.
How y'all doing?
We're good. Please state your name and address for the record.
Brian Williams, 8120 Val Cove, Orlando, Mississippi.
Okay, thank you. Would you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Have you had a chance to read the staff report?
I have.
Yes, sir. Okay. Do you agree with the staff report and its conditions?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any opposition or?
No, we don't, but I think Commissioner Strong wanted to pull it from consent and probably wants to talk about some of the design aspects, I would think.
Okay, so let's have the staff report.
Yeah. I think that would-
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item before you is a COA request for new construction of a one-story single-family home in Valentine Evergreen Historic District. Subject property is a 5,880 square foot vacant lot on the west side of North Avalon Street, the block between Valentine Avenue and Brown Avenue. According to the National Register record, there was a one-story Tudor-style English cottage on the lot built around 1930. This structure was demolished sometime after August 2011, a picture of which is included in the staff report, page 4. Proposed site plan shows the new structure to be built with about 6 feet setback on the left side and 14 feet setback on the right side.
familiar
There is a 10 feet wide driveway and a 3.5 feet wide walkway leading to the entrance from the driveway. Proposed front elevation shows a half-width front porch on the right side of the front facade with 8-inch square columns, craftsman-style front door with 6 lights at the top, a projecting bay window with a gabled roof on the left side of the structure, and 6/1 windows. Proposed side elevations show the structure to have 6/1 windows, horizontal siding, hipped roof with architectural shingles, and exposed concrete foundation walls. Proposed construction partially adheres to Valentine Evergreen design guidelines. We noted that window details, front yard setback, foundation wall height are among several issues that needed to be addressed. And staff recommends approval of the COA request with 6 conditions as stated in the staff report, page 12. This concludes my presentation. I would be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
We don't need to demolish it till we take a look at stuff. Okay, excuse me, I'm sorry. Okay, did the commissioners, you had some questions?
The question that I had, first I wanted to say to the applicant, thank you for attending the design review meeting earlier this month. And thank you for the revised drawings based on the feedback you received from that meeting. The question I had is in regard to condition number 4, which is the exterior horizontal siding shall have maximum 6-inch reveal. During the design review meeting, we discussed the horizontal siding, and then we also discussed brick. And during the meeting, you said you were agreeable to building the house out of brick.
Yes, I am.
And so with the revised drawings, it did not reflect brick. It still reflects the horizontal siding. And so that's the reason I was questioning if with this design, you would be open and agreeable to building it out of brick, considering that within that space on the street, it's surrounded by Tudoresque sort of designs, which are built out of brick and stonework. And further down, of course, you do find the minimal traditional, which has the horizontal lap siding. But for the property or vacant lot where this property will be built, where this new house will be built, It's surrounded by Tudor and Craftsman, which really showcase brick and stonework features.
I asked my architect to look into the requirements to see if brick was a requirement. He said he didn't see it, so we just kept deciding on that. But if you want it to be brick, I don't have any issues with that.
Thank you. Considering the surrounding properties or the houses that it would be sitting in the midst of, prefer to go forward with brick.
You want 100%?
Yes.
Can I ask, is that a requirement or is that just a?
So according to the design guidelines, with new construction, it is encouraged to differentiate itself from existing historic structures. A new building should be compatible with the surrounding district and draw on its historic context. This includes the way in which the structure is located on its site, the manner in which it relates to the street, its basic mass, form, and materials. And this is in regards to materials, the architectural materials. So if you look at the surrounding houses, it is sitting in the midst of brick houses and houses with stonework.
It's around 50-50. I believe the houses next door and across the street are, but when we looked in the meeting, when you go up, 2 doors down, 5 or 6 houses are siding. So it's not the entire street. It's next door and next door, but the street has a variation of siding, brick, and stone.
And Madam Chair, if I may, just procedurally, I think there was a question. I think that the way we would handle this, if
Close.
I think 2 ways to handle it. If the applicant was agreeable to doing all brick, which he has indicated he is, then it could just be a friendly amendment that you guys could just vote on. If he wants to get the opinion of the body, then there would have to be a motion made. If he says he would rather do the siding, then a motion would have to be made and voted on. So I just want to make sure procedurally what if you're agreeable, we can do it as a friendly amendment and move forward.
Proceed.
Or if you would like to present as is, then
Is that the only opposition is the siding?
I believe so. Well, there has been other discussion, but
We hadn't any other discussion yet.
right, there may be additional discussion, but I think that's the item that we're dealing with now, and we can deal with it as a friendly amendment at this point, but.
Unless they have some more questions for
Correct.
him.
Yeah. I would agree to doing the brick.
You are?
I agree.
Okay.
Well, I couldn't.
He agrees, so we could just I guess we would just alter that condition, or is there a condition for the siding?
No, there's no
Okay.
condition.
So we can just add a
Brett, could I
condition.
ask a question if we're doing that? Because I don't think that this needs to just be a heavy-handed of just a brick application, because the style of the home doesn't necessarily reflect the conditions as the surrounding homes do. The other homes were English Tudor, cottage style. This one is definitely not that. So I feel by just doing this brush stroke of saying, hey, let's just put brick on this without any other kind of design or aesthetic consideration could be actually to the detriment of this particular home.
I agree with that. I think it's quite different than the neighboring houses. I think they're principally 2-story houses or 1.5-story.
So do we need to take this to any questions that they need to ask him and then do a motion to close so the public?
Right, I mean, I guess if this is.
Because they want to discuss.
So if the applicant would like to make any further presentation, you have time to do that. 3 minutes.
I don't know if, most of the neighborhood is 2-story, 1-story. I don't know Victorian or Craftsman, I really just gave my architect and said, hey, make this fit, and this is what he came up with, to be honest with you. When I left the last meeting, I asked him about the facade of it, if we could change it. He said that is a possibility and keep the floor plan the same. But, I wouldn't be opposed to maybe changing the facade to whatever period or style I may be opposed to making it a 1.5 or 2-story, but if you want to make it a craftsman or colonial, however you want to do it, I can definitely go back and revisit that, but I probably would, keep it a 1-story property, if that's okay.
Right. I don't think we're encouraging you to make the house larger. Can we see the side elevations and site plan real quick? Thanks.
And I would also like to add that we did discuss the architectural styles surrounding like the Tudors and Craftsmen during the design review meeting, and did mention it when the applicant said he was going to go back and talk with the architect about trying to take an influence or refer to those. So that was discussed.
At this
but-
point, maybe we should close the public, because if there's any other questions for him, we could ask these now, but we could
Correct.
close
Yeah, I
it.
think that would, if there are any other
Because we're talking to
questions-
each other mostly
Correct, yeah.
now.
I think that unless there are additional questions for the applicant.
Did
then-
any other commissioner want to ask him some questions before we close the public part?
How many square feet is this house?
Sir, do you know?
Go to my notes.
It is, and
It's
I'm
probably
just
on
looking at the plans, yeah, it's 1403 total heated area and 1620 total area.
1,400.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant from the commissioners? Okay. I'll now close the public portion of this case, and the commission will further discuss this case. May I please get a motion, and it needs to be in the positive?
Yes, can I have the case number?
Case number?
2021
172.
172.
Oh, there it is, sorry. For the purposes of discussion, I move that we approve case 2021-172 with the conditions as recommended by staff.
May I have a second? I second it. Okay, thank you. Y'all can discuss a little bit now.
I would say, I was just looking at the street up and down. It looks like the houses on the street are a mix, as you said, of brick, stone, and siding, and they're all either singles or they're the ones or 1.5s. So I feel it's a little heavy-handed to push them completely into brick also. I think the architecture might, but this house isn't going to dramatically stand out just because it has siding over brick. I do think brick as a material has more integrity. But it's not like every house was brick along this street as I'm looking at it up and down on Google
Right.
Street View.
The houses that tend to have the horizontal siding were built later, and they're in the minimal traditional style, and they tend to be further towards the end of the street. And the section where this vacant lot is, it tends to be surrounded by Tudors and Craftsmen, which have the brickwork and stonework.
But even with
that was
with that,
the only reason.
there's across the street, right directly is the
Minimal.
ugliest, is the
It's a
horrible
minimal.
one. And then two more houses down across the street. There's a style that's very similar to what his is, even though yours actually does look better than that one. But it's, again, this particular neighborhood does have enough of a mix where his style, his square footage actually fits. I mean, the only thing I would say, if you're going to change it to brick, it would be to change it to the style that's most acclimated to that brick. This particular style, just to add brick to it, is not going to make it any better or any worse. Unless it's a cost determination, which is something we're not really.
Can we go back to the front principal elevation of the? I think that this, 1,400 square feet is a pretty modest little house, and I don't think it's inappropriate that it have clapboard siding personally. I think that historically, larger houses with bigger budgets used brick, and smaller houses with smaller budgets used horizontal siding, even in the 20s probably. And it is written, this is my last comment, is it's written here under 1.4.3, horizontal lap siding may also be considered as a primary building material or as an accent.
Right. The only reason I was bringing it up is because during the design review meeting, the applicant said they were going to go back, revise the drawings, and they were open to building out of brick. And so they did take the dormer off, which is great to see. Thank you. And then we also see the picture on page 4, what was previous, what it's replacing, which was brick and stonework. They were asked to sort of make it,
They were asked to consider it.
to consider it, so.
They considered it, and that siding was their best option.
Well, as we know, the sad part about this whole thing is that we lost the
Lost it,
structure
yeah.
that was there, and we're looking at that structure, and we can't really totally compare. I know you're not, but that's the sad part, is how do we get code enforcement or whoever had to tear it down to come to us first to do something about that lovely house that was torn down. That's the scar, is the house that used to be there.
I would say the one thing that I wish this house did was actually be more prominent in its gable, which is something that's very
Yeah.
consistent throughout the entire neighborhood. That, to me, would have made more of an impression and more of a tie-in with what is more.
It is, because this is like an anywhere.
Right,
And then
right.
it's no reflection, but it is like kind of an anywhere.
Can we see the floor plan? Is there a floor plan with rooms? 'Cause
I'll
I-
have to go to the staff report. I didn't put the floor plan on the.
Okay, well, I think that point is really a good one, and I'm looking at the elevation, and you can expand the triangle of the gable over the entry and cover the front porch. I'm assuming it has a front porch in the floor
That's
plan?
my question, does it have a porch?
It appears to have a shallow front porch.
Is there a little porch in there?
So if you were to expand the gable towards the center of the house, in other words, take triangles like this and raise the ridge and expand it, and then cover the front porch with a shed dormer, which is a slope towards the street at a shallower pitch, I think that is geometrically possible. Right. So, in other words, right now, when you're looking at the front of the house is on the right side of our screen, right? So when I'm looking at the front of the house, the gable stops at the interior wall. However, if the gable were to extend to the column on the right side of the entry, then the front porch could perhaps be covered with a shed dormer, which is pretty typical of bungalows. Not a dormer, a shed roof. And, I don't know if Secretary Ragsdale is willing to work with the applicant on the conditional approval of this, or if we hold it for a month, but I think that Joyce Salina's comment is a very good one. The gable is the gable is quite small.
Old one or a new one?
So if we were talking about a form that would actually match and still use what you have right now.
The floor plan wouldn't change.
Right.
It's confusing.
Yeah, I know. It'd take a.
You're just like, yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
So he doesn't have to come back and go
Yeah.
through this again? Could he just
Right.
make it an administrative approval with staff if they adjusted?
Well, I
the
guess
gable?
my first question is if Secretary Ragsdale, who's trained as an architect and is an architect, if you followed that and feel comfortable with that?
I believe so, and I think that you could.
Let's go back to that front elevation one last time. So what we're talking about is the right side of the gable grows, the ridge line rises, with it follows the roof line. The gable now would stop at the column. The porch stays and gets the shed dormer kicking out. I think it
Yeah,
would,
we could easily just even do a sketch over that.
I think the massing will be much more similar to the roof lines of neighboring homes with their fairly prominent gables.
He's drawing on it. He's drawing on it right
And
now.
I can describe it in a
Yeah, I think if
Go,
you
girl.
if you did
In a condition.
a condition and then did it administrative, I feel comfortable, and we could handle that administratively if the body does.
right. Commissioner Strong, did you have any thoughts on that? If that would help the
Yes, I think it would fit in much better.
Because I think that's the whole problem, right? It's like, how do we get this to fit in with this
Right.
neighborhood?
Right.
So,
all right.
You have something you can.
And as I
And-
said, and I just want to say, as I said in design review meeting, there's nothing wrong with the architectural style of a minimal
Correct.
traditional
Right.
and a horizontal lap siding, but for where the house would be located or situated, it just would stand out too
Right.
much.
And I know the applicant's not in a Q&A session right now, but I'll say that I think what we're proposing has minimal cost, if any, and I think it will add significant curb appeal, which I assume is ultimately one of the principal goals here. I suspect this house will be on the market for sale.
You want to share it?
Yeah, it might be helpful if he wants to see that.
I think we can do that as a separate.
Yeah.
You can save that and send it to me.
Okay.
As our follow-up, we can share that.
Can we share with him?
Can we share with the
Can he
applicant?
Well, there's no discussion, so. Sorry.
All right. I love it. All right.
like, I don't.
Yeah.
You can hold it up and you can see it.
It'd
You
be
can
more
hold it up.
appropriate to have that sketch for.
He just wants to build a house.
If there's no further discussion, I'll amend the motion. I'd like to amend the motion to, we'll continue to include all the conditions as written by staff with an additional condition to modify the roof line so that the gable facing the street expands over the entry door, and the front porch roof will be covered by a forward sloping shed style roof. And there is a sketch floating around here on an iPad. And I expect to see that exact phrase in the meeting minutes.
We've got YouTube, so.
And that they'll work with staff
And they will work with staff on the final approval of that for
so that he
principal
will
elevation.
understand what he's.
The underlying point is that the secondary, the gable facing the street becomes more prominent, larger and more prominent.
There's a second?
I second.
Did y'all get that?
Yes.
Okay. Could we have a vote?
Yes. Ms. Love?
Yes.
Ms. Payne?
Yes.
Mr. Warren?
Yes.
Ms. Strong?
Yes.
Mr. Gill?
Yes.
Ms. Cox?
Yes.
Chair Tucker?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did the applicant show up?
Okay.
And I do believe we have,
Who do we have? Do we have somebody else back?
Somebody
we
come?
do, we have the applicant from item number 6 is present, so.
Okay.
We can hear that case. It's item number 6, COA 2021-170, 719 North Auburndale Street in the Valentine Evergreen Historic District.
Okay. Is the applicant present? Okay. Could you come to the podium, please? Okay. Could you please state your name and address for the record?
Wesley Brown, 719 North Auburndale.
Okay. Thank you. You raise your right hand.
Ma'am,
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Have you had a chance to read the staff report?
Yes.
Okay. Do you agree with the staff report and its conditions?
Disregard, no, I haven't read it. I'm sorry.
Okay. You have or have
I
not?
have not.
Okay, so we probably need to do a presentation at this point.
Okay.
He has not read the staff report.
Okay, and we did not make a recommendation, so I think there aren't any conditions to
Yeah.
agree to, so I think it would be appropriate
Okay.
to see the presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a retroactive request to replace all windows with new vinyl windows. Subject property is located in Valentine Evergreen Historic
I see.
District. This is not a clear image, but it shows the subject property view from North Auburndale Street looking west. Condition of the original windows are not visible on this picture. However, National Registered Record of the property indicates that the original windows were 1/1 and double hung. Applicant is requesting a retroactive approval of window replacements. These images were provided by the applicant showing the existing condition of the structure with new vinyl 6/6 replacement windows. We found that proposed alterations do not adhere to Valentine Evergreen design guidelines. We noted that the replacement windows do not truly fit the original window openings based on the photos that were submitted by the applicant, attached on staff report pages 10 through 14. Additionally, replacement windows have 6/6 grid patterns, which do not match the original 1/1 windows of the structure. At this point, the staff refrains from making any recommendations regarding this retroactive request, and we defer to the commission's decision. This concludes my presentation. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Do the commissioners have any questions for staff?
Yes, what date, I guess even just the month, did Valentine Evergreen become officially a landmarks district?
August
Of this year, right?
this year.
Okay. Do we know when the windows were installed?
We are not clear, but I believe we issued a stop work order on this one last month in October.
Right.
Right,
That would
and
be a question for
so-
the applicant. We don't know when that was.
I guess, yeah, I guess is it not time to ask the applicant a question?
Right, but they may be willing, he may be willing to.
Any other questions from the commissioners for staff? Thank you. Applicant has 5 minutes to present their case, if you have.
Well, some of the windows, I know it's not visible like from the street, but the reason I went with the grid line windows, one of the windows on the back of the property was already updated to this. So I just went through and was matching the other one. It actually was my error. I looked at pretty much the wrong commission area for the house I was here for last time, 1781 Forest, and it didn't have anything for windows, and I assumed it was in the same district. So that was when I contacted Brett in regarding the windows to make sure, and he let me know I needed to come to today's meeting.
Okay, did you want to say anything else?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Are you opposed to the 1/1 windows?
I guess the only issue is right now I just have to take all those windows out. But, you know, when you say 1/1, you just want them to have no grid lines. That's what I noticed on the street.
6/1,
after the fact.
you can replace the sash. The top, they're going to be using. I have a question for the applicant. Are they single hung windows where only the bottom sash is operable up, or are they double hung windows where the top and bottom sash are operable?
Single.
So the bottom sash is operable.
Correct.
Okay. Questions are for him, not each, excuse me. Commissioners?
I've got another question for the applicant. So,
Commissioners need to address him, and
question
we'll address
for the applicant. Can you kind of restate, what is the time frame here? Do you say these windows that are currently installed in this house were purchased at different times, or?
No, originally when I started the rehab on the property, it looked like the previous owner had changed like a window on the back to this similar grid line.
Right.
So kind of like in my context, it was like, okay, I might as well keep that new window and just match it.
Right. Have you reached out to the window vendor to see if a sash replacement of the operable sash on the bottom, whether that's possible? I expect you probably have not yet.
I have not.
Okay.
So,
I have one question. So when did you start the process?
Start this rehab. It was approximately like a month ago.
Okay.
So the permit drawings, they were dated September 10th of this year?
Say it again, ma'am.
The permit drawings, the ones that got approved for you to proceed with this rehab.
What was it? I didn't hear the first part.
The permit drawings, when were they actually submitted?
When were they submitted?
Was it the 9, I'm looking at the date, I'm thinking it's 9/10/2021, but the first numbers are a little bit fuzzy.
Yeah, it may have been around that time. I would
Are you
have to
on code
check my
enforcement
email to give
website?
you the exact date.
No? Okay, cool. I was just trying to see if we're determining basically when VECA actually got
I'm double checking my email now. to see.
implemented, and then when were these drawings actually approved or
It was
gone through the
approved at
process of
city,
design?
it was approved at city council on July 20th, and then the final minutes by city council were approved on August 3rd
Of 2021.
of 2021.
So early August.
Yes.
Yeah, so it looks like I received the actual plans from my architect, like beginning of September.
So are there, am I allowed to ask staff questions at this point? I have a question for staff. There are two considerations, the style of the window and additionally the fit. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Do we have can we see the photographs again of something showing us the issue with fit?
There, right there.
Yeah, that's what I had a question about.
Well, I mean, that's incomplete construction.
It's not the,
So I'm not terribly concerned about the header being 5-inch.
Side window is a little weird.
Can we zoom in on those? Is that possible?
I think aren't the windows smaller than what were originally there? They didn't replace them back with the same size that was originally there.
Right, and I'm trying to understand how much they missed by. Yeah, that one's bad. The side window's quite off, but that's the front of the house, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it's all around.
On the corner.
But the front window that's more prominent, the twin single hung window there, is it a better fit? It appears to.
That's the front.
Okay. Seems to be a little better.
Are there any other questions?
Was there a reason that the windows are smaller than what were originally there?
I think that was just a sizing issue and time frame with materials.
Okay, is there anybody in support or opposition?
No.
Okay. All right. Y'all through asking him? Okay, at this time, we're going to close the public portion. I need a motion in the positive or discussion, if y'all want to discuss.
I have a motion. It may not be popular, but I move that we hold this case for 30 days and that the applicant understands that he needs to catalog and present to us how these windows are not fitting, including photographs, how many inches they're off, and whether or not the bottom sash can be replaced with a single pane of glass. In other words, if a bottom sash is operable, and obviously window panes get replaced all the time. I'm willing to stop short, and this is all for your benefit to eavesdrop on my motion. My motion is to hold the case because some improvements are needed, and we need your help with that. I would personally think we can stop short of replacing the top pane, but I would like to explore whether you can replace the bottom operable sash, because that's the component. It's not going to cost as much as a whole new window. But principally, I think we need to better understand how the fit. Is this off by?
I'll tell you what, I can fit those better. I can order the exact size.
Well, let's hold the case and have you come back and tell us what you propose to do, with the knowledge that compromises can be discussed with staff in the interim. Staff at that point may have recommendations based on your compromises and your improvements. But I move to hold the case.
Okay.
I'll
Is there a
second that. I second.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Secretary, call for a vote.
Mr. Warren?
Yes.
Ms. Strong?
Yes.
Ms. Payne?
Yes.
Ms. Love?
Yes.
Ms. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Gill?
Yes.
Sarah Tucker?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Is the biggest thing just the grid lines and the fit?
I think it's,
Because I mean, if it's at the point, instead of us, waiting 30 days and me stalling the project, I could go back with the clear windows and just order them.
I tell you, if you come back with a proposal that significantly changes what you're doing, and that goes to staff, they have the right to deem that a minor, possibly, or even administrative approval, maybe.
Well, we can review that with you, and I'd be happy to even come out with you and take a look. And
Perfect.
I think we'll do that, and we can see if you have some options to propose something that's that drastic that could then be submitted.
Get it moving.
So,
Okay, cool.
all right,
Okay, thank you.
thanks.
So we have no one else, right?
I don't believe we have any other cases. We had the one that was held because the applicant was not here, so I don't see them in the chambers, so
Okay, do we have any new business?
we do not.
Okay, our next meeting will be Thursday, December 23rd. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second, anybody?
Second.
We're good, unless somebody wants to stay.
I got that gavel.